You're here, so you probably already know the value of tracking your food intake for your body composition or health goals. So I'm not gonna get into that. So with that being said, let's dive right into my favorite macro and calorie tracking app, Cronometer. There are two things that you'll need to start tracking in the app, and that's one, the Cronometer app itself, and number two, a food scale. And there are three versions of the app, a paid version, a free version, and then a pro version for nutritionists, coaches, and trainers. But for the sake of this video, I'm only going to be covering the paid and free versions of the app. So I was actually a lifelong MyFitnessPal user. I've used it for many, many years. And there are just a few things that Cronometer does better than MyFitnessPal, on top of having a little bit more features and data. But the thing about MyFitnessPal is that its strength is actually its weakness. And I'm talking about the database. And the thing about the MyFitnessPal database, although it is large, a lot of it is user entered. That means anyone can just input whatever they want and it's not verified. And that's why if you kind of scroll through the entries, you can see a food item that has the wrong macros or the wrong calories, and you kind of have to sift through things. And if you don't have a basic foundational understanding or education on nutrition, that can get very confusing. And you can still input your own custom foods, but that won't be added into the database unless you go through a verification process. You also get a more robust breakdown of micronutrients, and honestly, if you're just starting out, it can kind of get overwhelming. So my recommendation, if you're just starting, I would ignore those things for now, but it can be very useful because if you are coming and using a food tracking app to manage a certain health condition, or maybe you have a vitamin B deficiency or an iron deficiency, this information can be very useful. All right, so let's actually go into the app. So when you open the Cronometer app, what you'll see at the bottom are 4 tabs plus a little plus icon. And the first tab that you'll see is your home tab. So this is going to be where you get your charts, your reports, and also your dashboard. I am using the free version for the sake of this video. I do pay for the paid version because I think that the additional features are worth it. The one that I really love is the macro scheduler. So it's a little bit more advanced, but if you are someone who has different sets of calorie goals or macro goals for specific days of the week, maybe you're doing one low carb day, or maybe you have training day macros and non-training day macros, you can schedule them out ahead of time and that can account for it. So I absolutely love that feature, which it is not available on the free version. But the biggest thing about the free version that a lot of people love is that the barcode scanner is still free. And MyFitnessPal took that out, but if that is a feature that you are missing, you can get that with Cronometer for free. All right, so let's get into the diary tab. This is going to be where you'll spend most of your time tracking your food. And by default, you'll see that it has breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, and an uncategorized area. And to add things to this section, you can either press the middle icon, or you can do it on each individual level. So you can add food, exercise, biometrics. This is the part that I really love. You can add notes, and of course you have that barcode scanner. So let's talk about the notes section. So if you are someone who maybe you're not even looking at the calories and macros just yet, you're just tracking your food to see what kind of food choices you're making, what low-hanging fruit can you pick, the notes tab can be very, very beneficial. So I'll give you an example of how you can use this in your own tracking journey. So if you're just starting out and you're not even looking at the calories or the macros just yet, you're looking at your food choices, say for your snack, if you're inputting a Snickers bar, right? A note that you can put for that is, hey, I wasn't hungry, but I was feeling anxious or I was stressed out at work, so that's why I added that. So you could add the note right here and say, not hungry, but stressed. Save it right there, and now you have that little note for that meal. And that can be very, very beneficial to see what kind of habits you're using and break through those. So I love that feature. And the next tab is the food tab. So this is going to be where you can put custom meals, custom recipes, and they have an import recipe feature, which it is a part of the paid version. And what that essentially is, if you find a website with a recipe, all you have to do is take that URL, put that into the importer, and it will break down the whole recipe and add it into your library. So that is super, super beneficial if you are someone who takes a lot of recipes from the web. And lastly, let's talk about the more section. This is just the general settings, your account stuff, where you can set your macros, so your protein, carbs, fats, calories, all of those things. That will be done through the More tab. So that was a general breakdown of the app itself. Now let's go into the diary and talk about that a little bit more, because you are going to be spending majority of your time there. So if you press the plus icon, you can add things really easily. Now the suggested food, that is a paid feature, but essentially what that is, if you go ahead and say I need protein left, it will actually give you a list and amount of food to eat to hit your remaining protein goal, which is actually really, really cool and really useful, especially if you're still trying to figure out what kinds of foods you can eat to hit certain goals. Of course, you have the barcode scanner, which again, all you have to do is scan a barcode and it will input all of that data. Next, you can manually enter your food. So say you want to look up white rice and make sure that it's cooked, you do it right there. And something I love about Cronometer is that all of their entries, you can set it to grams, so you can get very specific with this. So let's say for your white rice, you had 120 grams, boom, log it, there it is. And as you can see at the top, we have a few different things. Honestly, I don't ever look at the calories burned. So most of the time I will be on this dashboard right here, where it shows the calories consumed, protein, carbs, and fats, which are the main macronutrients. You also have some other stuff, again, like the micronutrients, so fiber, vitamin C, all of this. And if you want to add your weight or any other things, you of course can press the plus icon, add biometrics, and you have cardio, labs, mental. Click right here and gives you a load of options. Honestly, again, it can kind of get overwhelming, so I would just stick to your weight, especially as you are getting started. So that is how you would add biometrics, and then we covered the notes. Exercise is the exact same thing. My recommendation, so that you're not overwhelming yourself with complexities and all of this information, keep everything separate. Use the Cronometer app to track your food and maybe your weight, but that's it. All right, let's take a look at the paid version to go over some of those features that I think are personally worth it, that I absolutely love. So at the top of my app right here, I'm going to be covering the target scheduler that I talked to you about. So one day a week, I am doing a lower carb day during this dieting phase. And if you can see at the top today, my macros are 180 protein, 230 carb, and 45 fat. But I have it automatically scheduled because Wednesdays are my lower carb days because I don't train, and that is reflected right here. And if I go to the next day, it goes back. So I absolutely love that feature. I think it is well worth it. But again, if you are just starting out, I think that the more complexity that you add to your plan, especially with tracking, the more off-putting it can be. So keep it as simple as possible. If you are sticking with a target goal all days of the week, go ahead and do that. I actually recommend it when you are starting out tracking. So let's talk about the food recommendations. So as you can see, if I click the plus button in the middle, suggested foods, that will bring up the Oracle food suggestions. And these are just things that will help me hit the remaining of my goals. But if you wanted to get more specific on certain macros or vitamins and minerals you want to hit, you'd go to the food section, go to the Oracle nutrient search, and pick it accordingly. So say you wanted to hit some B12, you'd hit search. What kinds of foods can you hit? So right here, it brings up a ranking. It will give you the amount plus how many calories per serving. And I absolutely love this. And again, let me show you an example of protein, because macros are probably what most of you guys are going to be hitting. So let's do carbs, actually, it's right there. So you would hit search, and right here you have recommendations to hit your carb goal. It gives you the amount and also calories per that amount. So again, just a cool feature to give you recommendations to help you learn through this process as well. And I think the last standout feature that I wanted to cover is obviously the import recipe. So if you hit right here, you would just paste the URL of the website with the recipe on it, and it will import everything. I've only used this feature once, but it was pretty cool when I did. So I think that is a standout feature as well. That is Cronometer. This is the app that I use every single day to reach my goals. And this is also the app that I recommend all of my clients to use as well. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comments. And if you thought this was helpful, gently tap that like button. And if you want more health and fitness forward content, subscribe to the channel for more.